I've got to ask you about Bitcoin. I know I constantly pester you about this, but you're kind of the man in this particular space. You have filed for yet another Bitcoin ETF after being turned down several times. We've got a new year. We've got Bitcoin at a historic high, so the timing is perfect. Kudos to you. I know you can't talk about the specifics of the filing, but we're going to get a new SEC chairman some way down the road. We have an acting chairman now, but are the prospects for a Bitcoin ETF any better in 2021 than they were in 2017, 18, or 19?
Well, we weren't trying to time our filing. We are just believers that this is something that investors should own, and so we'll keep at it. There are a couple of rays of hope. Not that I'm predicting approval or anything like that, because nothing has really changed. But one of the rays of hope is that the SEC last month gave some guidance on how broker-dealers can custody Bitcoin in a specialized manner. But nonetheless, I look at that as a glass half full announcement from the SEC, its very own regulatory agency. Secondly, you've seen regulators in Canada last year and in Europe last year approve retail Bitcoin products. I think that's really important because I do think the regulators have similar concerns about investor safety. And so I think if others have become comfortable, then why can't they? And then, look, like it or not, Bitcoin's going to keep being in the headlines, I think, in 2021. Probably the biggest news earlier in the year will be when Coinbase goes public. They're the 35 million client crypto exchange that's operating here in the U.S. And so you can't really avoid it. And there's so much exciting things happening outside the regulated space. The thing I like to point out is that you can earn interest on your Bitcoin holdings. Most people don't know that. That's sort of evolved over the last year or so. And so that what's happening in the crypto space is moving really fast.
Yeah. As I recall, I just want to stick on this for 1 minute, Jan, and guys, feel free to jump in. The concerns the SEC had in the past were basically twofold. One is a lot of the trading in Bitcoin takes place in overseas exchanges that they were suspicious about. They couldn't control. They had no regulatory control over that. That was one big concern. The second was the general fraud concern around custodial issues. Those seems to be the two big things, if I'm correct. Jan, is there some reason to believe that those issues are now more better defined or of less concern to the SEC? I'm trying to figure out, how do you get them to say yes? Wasn't those two issues very prevalent, and have they been addressed?
Exactly. And I do think that's why the guidance on broker-dealer custody last month is a ray of sunshine. Custody is absolutely a concern. You have firms now, brand name firms like Fidelity, offering custody of digital assets, of Bitcoin and Ethereum and other digital assets. So there's been a lot of movement on the custody front. So that's number one. On the market manipulation front, what people are doing and what we're doing is constructing indices that get price inputs from exchanges that have some kind of regulatory nexus. So there are 5 or so exchanges, crypto exchanges here in the U.S. that somehow have reporting through to the SEC. There are different exchanges in Europe. We have a retail product in Europe that was approved, and they're looking at different price feeds. But I think if you can get the regulators comfortable with the underlying price feeds, it's better.
Dave, it's time for you to weigh in here. It's a Groundhog Day on Bitcoin ETFs again. For all 4 of us, weren't we here 3 years ago?
I think we're going to be here. I think we're going to be here in another year or two. Look, I'm a fan. I think that Bitcoin and crypto should be inside an ETF wrapper. It's a very logical way to actually deal with many of the issues that folks have around Bitcoin in terms of access, and liquidity. And ETF solves those problems. It's not a victim of them. It's actually a solution to a lot of these problems. I think what we're seeing is just the crypto market is maturing, right? That's the key thing. And I think mostly what the SEC wanted to do 3 or 4 years ago was frankly let the industry mature a little bit, let it solve some of these problems that it raised. And as Jan points out, a lot of those a lot of those hurdles are getting knocked over in a good way. I think it's a little early to think that somehow, say in September, we're going to get an approval. Although, never say never. Depends who we get in the SEC as the commissioner, obviously. I think 22 is probably a pretty likely time. I think it really doesn't strike me we're going to go much past that. I think the next 10, 12 months might be a little bit dicey.